So without further ado, I am so thrilled. And Cerissa, just know that we tend to have somewhat of a late arriving crowd. So,
Yeah, you know.
oh yeah, right. Again, we're all real estate professionals. So I'm so thrilled to see some of your team members chiming in. DJ, Ali, I hope you guys will join back because every week I bring the meat. That's the slogan here. And I try to make sure that if you're going to join me for 15 or 20 minutes or 25 in some cases, that I bring value, because if I don't, then you won't return, right? Isn't that right, Karen Sims? Crystal, I appreciate you. Brett, always. Ryan. So again, if I don't bring it, you won't come back. And so, Cerissa, I have no doubt that you'll bring the meat this week, my friend. So the floor is yours. Share with us what you want.
Yeah, awesome. So thanks for having me. I was thrilled to get this invite from Ben, and I love seeing some of my favorite faces on here, even if they're just, you know, like Tina's picture instead of her real face, but I'll take it because it's a cute pic. Right. So, oh, hi. One of my favorite coaching clients ever. Love her. So, you know, as I was thinking about this the past couple of days, I asked a couple of my agents, you know, DJ, who is our productivity coach, and Ali, who's our director of sales on the team. I was like, what do you guys think people want to hear? And they gave me some ideas. And then this morning, I sat up here at the office and thought, okay, I'm actually going to make some notes in case, you know, my brain just goes elsewhere. So I've got some thoughts, but I wanted to see also, is there anything really that you guys want me to hit on or that you have questions about so that I can make sure and take time to address that? And if you do, either raise your hand or throw it in the chat. Otherwise, I'll hit what I have.
Perfect. You know what, I think that one thing you said on stage that so resonated with me, and I think others in the audience, was, and I won't articulate it exactly, but you said that you'll either attract or repel, right? And I think that was really powerful to your team, I think to your tribe, to who you are. So you don't have to speak on it, but I can just tell
clients.
You. Yeah,
no, I'll be happy to. And the quote I say, and I don't know if I stole it from somebody else, but a great culture will attract the right people and it will repel the right people.
Absolutely.
And if you're lukewarm about stuff, you, number one, don't know who you are. You don't know what you stand for. You don't know who you're trying to attract, etc. So that was so funny you bring that up, Ben, because number one thing I wanted to cover is decide who you want to be and get specific. Like decide who you want to be and get specific. Some of you, oh my goodness, I have to mute my husband because he is out of control right now. Just a second. Do not disturb. I love you, babe. Bye. Decide who you want to be. So that could be literally journaling. How do I want the world to see me? Who do I want to show up like as a leader, as a real estate agent, as a mom, as a, you know, as a giver, as a financial steward, like all the different things that you are going to be in life, decide how you want to show up. So I got mine out the other day. It's called Cerissa's Life. And it shows like in each of those areas, exactly who I want to be. And I'm happy, like I'm an open book. I'll share it with you guys. If you want it, throw your email in the chat. Like you can see who it is I want to be. And the more I put it out to the world, the more I have to be accountable to that, because you guys know who it is that I'm working to become. And the reason I think that that's number one place to start is because if you're always moving towards something, so you might as well move towards what you want to be, right? A lot of times they say, oh, I don't want to be like so-and-so. I don't want to be like like my sister or my mom or my blah, 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 whatever. Well, the reality is the more you focus on that, the more you actually are becoming that. And so instead, some of us were never given great role models in real estate, as in parenting, in marriage. So we have to decide a role model. And if that role model doesn't exist, that's okay. Like write down what it would look like if you did know. And so that's I think of a Zig Ziglar quote that says, don't become a wandering generality, be a meaningful specific. So get specific. And like I said, I'll be happy to share that with you guys. But that also then will attract the right people. It will repel the right people because you actually know who you are. Okay. So that's where I would start. Number 2 thing I wrote down, I don't know where I got this either, but it came to my brain this morning. It says, be willing to let go of an old identity and take hold of a new one. So some of us say like, oh, I'm the spender in the relationship, or I'm I've never eaten good. This is just my body type, or I'm not good at cold calling, or whatever the thing is that we've identified as. And we have to be willing to let go of that old identity and take hold of a new identity. Every single morning, we get to choose who we want to be. And just because we've always been this does not mean starting today or starting tomorrow morning, you can't choose to be somebody completely new and different. So I think that being willing to let go of what has always defined us is really important. And being willing to, my counselor is always like, are you willing to be made willing? Like sometimes you're like, I don't want to do that. Well, can you just get to a heart place where you're willing to be made willing to try something new, or be willing to be made willing to be more compassionate towards somebody or something? So anyways, I think that that's number 2 for me. Do you guys want me to pause there or I can keep going?
Keep going. Keep going. You are bringing
Keep
it.
going.
Let's
Okay.
go.
I put number 3, be brave and try new things. You will only fail if you quit or if you learn nothing from that failure. So I'm going to pick on Tina because she's one of my favorite stories, but Tina like hated door knocking. And Tina would be like she'd make every excuse in the book to why it was hard or rainy or hot or she didn't like it or whatever. And I'm totally picking on Tina because guess what? Finally, we made up this thing where she's like, I'm not going to die. And at the end of the day, I'd be like, well, did you die? And she's like, no. And so like, we still joke about that. I still hear her joke about that because she's like, I didn't die. She threw it in chat earlier. So like, what's the worst thing that can happen if you're brave and you try something new? You're not like, the worst thing that could happen is you're going to die. And guess what? You're not going to die, right? You might. So if you sometimes can take your brain to like, what's the worst case scenario? That worst case scenario is never going to happen, right? So be brave, try new things. If you're not, I put this on social media yesterday, but like, if you're not failing, you're not trying new things. You're not challenging yourself. So are you willing to show up as a new, brave, courageous version of you? Okay, that's number 3. I put down number 4. Who gets anxious about like thoughts of this future market or the current whatever? Like, do we get a little anxiety? Anybody like, what's it going to be like? Am I going to succeed? Whatever the things, right? All the things. Well, if you start getting anxious or feeling bad for yourself, the number 1 thing you can do is get into action. Who feels better when they're like door number 5 of the doors they've knocked? You like start getting into a groove and you actually feel better and you feel like I'm going to make a difference. Or as you start actually picking up the phone to call your sphere of influence, you start to realize, oh my goodness, like I am in control of my destiny. I actually can make a difference in the lives of my friends in my community. And I'm going to sell a house because I'm actually doing something. And so when you feel those feelings of anxiety or fear or whatever start to creep in, the number 1 thing you can do is just get into action. I put there's literally nothing like it to make you feel better. You start to realize you actually do have control versus circumstances having control over you. And I read something yesterday. It said, at the sometimes action gives you short-term regret. Like you're like, oh, I can't believe I did that, or whatever. It gives you like this short-term regret is the only word I know how to use in this moment. But what the psychologists have actually found is that inaction actually leads to long-term regret. So like at the end of someone's life, when they're on death's bed or whatever you want to call it, some of the biggest regrets are the inaction that they didn't take, the things they didn't do, the things they didn't say, the people they didn't have conversations with. So if we can get into that mode of getting into action, we will actually have less regrets. Okay. And then I put the last thing, I think that's my last thing, is just be careful with what you read and who you spend time with. Be careful with who you allow to influence your mindset or your mood or your environment, because obviously you become the sum of the 5 people you hang out with, or whatever that quote is. You become the books you read and the people you associate with. So choose wisely. And especially in times of like uncertainty, or where the market needs us to show up as the thought leaders. The market needs us to show up as the ones who actually are taking the news and sharing what is truth in our market. We really need to choose wisely who we're allowing to influence our mind and our heart and all of those things. That's all I got. What do you guys, what kind of questions, or what do you guys, where do you guys want to talk about?
Well, Sweetie, that was plenty. That was plenty. And I, so that I don't have to look it up again, wandering generality or specific something. Find
Yeah,
that.
so that's a Zig Ziglar quote. It's like,
Yes,
don't become a wandering generality, be a meaningful specific.
that's it. Meaningful. That's it.
So ask yourselves, I think it's a good question to ask yourself. Are you a wandering generality, or are you a meaningful specific?
Yeah, that's beautiful. I think typically I don't have to summarize because we've got a highly intelligent audience here. But what I will tell you is that because I've gone through no less than 6 of these shift corrections, normalizations, call it what you want to. And what I know is that we need to be brave as we venture forward, and action is important. Matter of fact, I think action is more important today than ever before. And be the thought leaders, especially to our audience, because everyone on this call has a very large audience. And I tell folks all the time, the ones that they hear from today are the ones they'll listen to tomorrow. Okay, so that's the reason why we need to be preaching a message of positivity. I mean, our heads are not in the sand. We understand that there are going to be some challenges here, but I honestly believe that those of us that are willing to move forward, be brave, be specific, not general, we're the ones that they're going to listen to when this market turns around. I learned from a real estate professional, Walter Sanford, 33 years ago. Walter said that we need to be the local celebrities in our communities, and that's something I've never forgotten. And I believe that everyone on this call, you guys are just that. So continue to preach that message because there's someone that's listening. So I wanted you on the call, Cerissa, because I mean, you're just right down the hall from me, right? I see your organization, and I know that you wouldn't have amazing people on your team like DJ and Allie and all those folks down the hall if you weren't the thought leader, if you weren't the leader that was inspiring other leaders, because that's what a good leader does. And so I'm so impressed with what I've seen. Just keep doing what you're doing. And that's enough of me stroking your ego because you don't need it. So.
Well, it was either Ben or Chris that said, if you want to be a learner, or if you want to be a leader, you have to be a learner.
Absolutely.
And every one of us, has a ton to learn, and people who have gone before us. And I think you're spot on. Gary Keller talks about that a ton in his masterminds, is we really need to be the local expert. And if you guys, like, it's not that complicated. I think sometimes we disqualify ourselves. I just had this conversation a ton. We disqualify ourselves as being able to have those conversations, or as we think because we weren't economists in college or whatever, that we're not qualified, and we are. And we've got to take the headlines and go, hey guys, I know there's a ton of, wild thoughts in the news right now. Would you like to talk about what's going on in our local market? Like, that's such an easy phone call. Such an easy phone call. So make sure your people hear from you. Ben, you're spot on. Love it.
Again, I love you. Zimski, was there a question or two in the chat? And if not, then let's rock and roll. Okay, I see. I got the thumbs up from my right hand. So, guys, like I say every week, Cerissa, you brought the meat this week, right? And that's what's important. Rich, I see the smile. I appreciate a couple of new faces. You guys might not be new, but I don't always see the faces. So I appreciate everyone chiming in. I would suggest join in next week because again, I've got an amazing leader lined up who will definitely bring us the heat and the meat next week. Let's all go out because we have a real opportunity to change someone's lives, to impact someone's lives. And I think that's what's important. We get the opportunity to do that all day, every day. And I don't take it for granted. And I know you don't either. So I appreciate you guys. We will see you next week. And let's go make it a great one.
Bye, y'all. Thank you for having me.
Cerissa, I appreciate you, sweetheart.
Bye.